everybody, and welcome to One Plant Short of Crazy. Happy 4th of July, first and foremost, to everybody that's watching. As you can see here, I'm kind of lost in a sea that is Monstera Deliciosas, with the exception of some beautiful little mint honeysuckle that we're going to be adding into some mixes. And then I have some obvious little viney plants down here also that have been with some of these monsteras since day one when I was rooting them. This one back here that I am surrounded by, this is my mother monstera plant. So when I first got my very first monstera, I bought it from Lowe's. And one of the things with the monsteras from Lowe's, and pretty much anywhere, any of the nurseries, is that the actual plant inside the pot is multiple monsteras. So what I did when I got mine is I took it apart. I took all the soil out. I hosed it down with my actual hose outside, cleaned everything out, and then I separated out a couple of the monsteras into additional pots by themselves. And then I put 3 of the clippings back into this one here. This guy has produced, oh my goodness, hundreds of clippings for me, honestly, over the last 3 or 4 years. All of these ones in here, these are all clippings, these are all clippings, and these are all clippings. Every one that you see in the front of the video here, these are all baby monsteras that I've grown from seed. And later in the video, we'll have a little snip that I did yesterday that shows you how to actually start monsteras from seeds. And then I will also be sure to put either a little snippet in or leave the information in for the Etsy seller that I buy all of my monstera seeds from. They've all rooted, every single one. Even the ones that I didn't think were going to. I had ones that I left out in a container all winter long outside, come up into the summertime, and all of a sudden I had one popping up. So they root. It's crazy. But what we're going to do is I will pause for a minute. I'm going to get all of this stuff kind of separated and moved around. We're going to tackle the bad boy after we repot some of the smaller ones first, because we are going to give this guy possibly a trimming. I see one area I might trim, but I might not, just because we have a really cool container that we're going to be using for this guy. And one of my neighbors had a tree that broke, and they cut down the tree, and I went over and grabbed some of the wood from them so that I could use them in some pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and move everything out here. Be back in just a minute. All right. So what we're going to do with first is we're going to start with some of the props that I have. So we're going kind of backward. I'm going to take you through what we're doing with these first so that we can get to the bigger ones and have some containers for me to be able to use for rooting. So a couple things that I want to point out. This one has absolutely 0 rocks in the bottom, and this one has been a little bit too moist. And you can tell in the root development. The root development hasn't come through very, very, very strong. So I'm going to put this one in a smallish container here. I'll mix a little bit of the cocoa coir in with my normal monstera mix. And then actually this one has quite a bit of perlite. I was thinking about possibly adding some more perlite in there. We'll take a look and see what I want. But I'll go through the mix that I use for soil as well. So this one, I mean, you can still see there's moisture everywhere, but it's got really, really good roots in there. So it's just, there's one of them that only has tiny, so I might actually put it back in. Don't know until we look at it, but we'll look at it. The second one here, this one is totally ready, and I'm going to give this one into a little bit of a larger pot. And then I've got decorative ones that I can drop that in. But this bad boy, you can see, is completely ready. Whoa, that sounded awful. Okay, so this guy is totally ready. A couple things you can see down at the bottom. This looks all sorts of nasty and green. It's got algae, it's got different things in there. I don't care. This is the rock area. It gives added ick and funk to it, and honestly, these roots absolutely love it. On top of the bigger rocks that I have down at the bottom, I've got smaller pebbles up here in the middle area. And then I put just a little bit of perlite in with the cocoa coir in here, put it a little bit more heavily towards the rock area, and I'll show you. You can see the roots are clearly going through the cocoa coir, into the cocoa coir perlite, into the pebbles, and eventually they're going to go down towards the bottom. But just based off of looking through all of this and seeing where my roots are and seeing how thick they are, I can tell that this guy is ready to be put into a container like this. Again, when I repot, I'm not going to break away 100% of the cocoa coir unless it falls off. But generally, when I have my rooting medium on there, I like to have that medium kind of stay a little bit with the roots because the roots are used to it. So we will do the smaller one first, then we'll do this big guy, and then I might take a clipping of that and put it in here because I want to try to keep this nice little setup here. I will probably take most of the cocoa coir out. I'll run some water through, I'll tip it upside down, clean it out just a little bit, and wait for the next clippings to get their own funk in there. So, but we're going to take care of this one here in just a sec. Yep, let's do the little guy. Little guy will be easier. I go back and forth on what I want to do. So for my soil mix, we're going to talk about this. And I know I talk about my soil mix all the time, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about it every single time because I love it. It's fantastic and it works with like 99% of the plants that I have in my home. The only thing I don't use it on is succulents and cacti. And I figured out that that's why I was killing them so often is I was using this mix instead of cactus soil or cocoa coir, which I love cocoa coir and perlite now. It's one of my favorite things in the world to root in, and for my succulents, my Hoyas, and all of my testy little ones that I used to kill all the time. So back to this mix. So there's a couple things. I'm going to pull out some bark. We can actually see that there are legit pieces of bark in here, and I get splinters all the time when I play with dirt. So the bark is from orchid bark. I get the chunky, do not get the fine stuff. The fine stuff is not going to be that good for giving aeration. It's good for some orchids, which is why it's called orchid bark, but I prefer the chunkier bark. The next thing that I have in here is I have a butt ton of perlite. So you can see everything in here has a little bit of white to it. Well, that's my perlite. The next thing that I have, are some vegetable seeds. That's nice. I think that was an herb seed. There we go. Believe it. I opened a pack of seeds and it fell into my soil. So every once in a while, I may find something that's edible in it. Anyways, the next thing that I did after the perlite is I have just regular potting soil. I sometimes use cactus soil, sometimes use potting soil. It just kind of depends on what I have around the house. But my perfect mix is 1 bag of orchid bark, 1 bag of perlite, and 1 bag of potting soil. If I do that mix, I do it in a giant tote. I usually go out and buy 3 bags of each, and this is a mini tote. This is not one of my giant ones. And then I just fill this one up whenever I need to do some things and bring it back around. So another thing about the soil is because this is so chunky, it's one of those ones where when you stick your finger down inside and you're checking to see whether or not it's dry or wet, it's not always going to work that way. You need to learn how to do the feel test. Obviously, this is heavy because it's dirt, but when you have it in the pot, as soon as you pot it up, soak your soil. I do not soak my soil before I pot with it. I like to soak my plant after I pot so that I know what it feels like and how heavy it is when it's totally wet. And then I do the feel test. If it's light, I go to pick it up and I feel like I could toss it over my shoulder. Well, obviously it's time to give it another soak. So without delay, let's go ahead and just put a couple handfuls. We're gonna do the small one first. And we'll just put a tiny bit in here. So I have, it's a little bit, about halfway full with soil. That's about right. And then over here, I'm just going to give a light tug. This one, okay, the root goes down pretty far in that one. This one, it looks like it's going to let me break it. We're just going to kind of tug all of these together here. We've got one that I'm not tugging on, so it's not wanting, there we go. So it broke up really nice and easy. So this is all rooted in pure cocoa coir. I'm not going to break any of it off from that. That's absolutely beautiful and lovely. And it's sitting together, and I'll bring these up a little bit closer to the camera so you guys can see them. So we've got some really, really good roots down here. This generally, so when I do water prop, I would not pull these bad boys out and put them into soil if they were only this long. Generally, for those of you that do water propping, you're going to want your main root to have multiple off splits coming off of it. Instead of just one solid and then a bunch of little, because when you go from water into soil, you run the risk of getting root rot. So I like to have a crap ton of roots on there to be able to support it. Now in this case, because I rooted this in cocoa coir, it's already accustomed to dirt. It's accustomed to not being 100% in water. Although you can tell this one was so over wet. I'm so sorry, babies. I'm going to redo that one and put rocks in the bottom. That's what I missed in it. The other thing is you can feel a slight bit of give on the ends here. So they have calloused, but the ones that were down in the cocoa coir, I don't like that. I'm going to put just a dab of cinnamon onto it before I put it into the soil. But the soil's going to do really good for it anyways, and it's going to help it dry out. But anyways, difference between root system from water propping versus propping in cocoa coir or sphagnum moss or any of that is you're going to get roots that you can put into soil a little bit quicker than when you do the water prop. All right, so let's do just a couple dabs of cinnamon here. I know you guys know I love cinnamon, so I'm just going to put this in my hand, and I don't want to get it on the roots. There's no need to. The roots have absolutely no signs of any issues whatsoever. Even the outsides of these don't have any signs of issues on the cuts, but anytime I pull my stuff out, it gives me an opportunity just to kind of doctor up a little bit, make sure everything's nice and happy, make sure it has the best chance of the best life possible. You know, we kind of torture our plants way more than happens in nature, so if we're gonna do it, we might as well help out a little bit. Oh, and I just dumped all of it. So we're gonna dip on the table. There we go. All right, so I am loving these guys, absolutely loving them. So knowing how long this root is, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to place it right under the lip of where this is at in here. And I'm gonna kind of hold this up a little bit while I allow the roots to get in. I'm also going to move down just a little, let it get in there, kind of bounce it around. I like my roots to go all the way down towards the bottom, but keeping the stem above the soil. And the reason why I like to do this is because, well, quite honestly, it allows it to use the moisture all the way through the pot in all your soil layers. So if you have, you know, your roots only laying directly on the top, you're not giving the bottom half of the soil any roots to pull any of the moisture out of. And so if they don't have any roots down there to pull the moisture out of, well, what's happening to that moisture in the pot? It just sits there and sits there and sits there. And then you continue to test the top 1 inch of the soil and you're like, great, it's dry. Well, yeah, it's dry, but the whole bottom half of your pot is completely moist and wet, and that is not anything that we want. So for this guy here, to have him stand up, you can see I'm holding it on top of the soil, but a little bit slightly above the soil, with the exception of this one. This one has really good roots on the bottom area where I cut it because it had an extra activation point. So now all I'm going to do is quite simply drop my soil in while I'm holding these. It's okay, it'll get on some of the roots here, or the stems, and that's fine. I'm just gonna shake a little, kind of move it a little, give some light pushes around, just kind of holding it in place. There we go. That's looking good. Throw some more on there. I'm also going to hose it down, which will help get some of the dirt off of the stems here, and it'll also help settle the dirt down a little bit. Also, don't worry about it if you give your plant water and all of a sudden you realize, holy cow, like, I need more soil in there. That's totally normal. We don't want to pack our plants down too hard when we put them in, because we don't want the roots to break just by us putting soil in. So allow your water, allow your hose to do what needs to be done and push the dirt down into the spots that you didn't push in, and then add more when it's done. So this one here, I'm not adding support, as you can see. I will eventually add some support, but right now I kind of want these guys to have to grow a little on their own. There we go. That one's finally getting there. I need a little bit underneath it to hold it. All right, so I'm gonna pause for 1 second. I've got a hose behind me. I'm gonna hose this down a little to see how the dirt's gonna fall, and then we're gonna add some more. So I'll be right back. There we go. So I hosed it down. When I hosed it down, I was able to kind of push down a little bit while the water was in there, help everything kind of go in where it needs to be. I'm going to just kind of follow the stems, make sure that they're not totally covered, and just brush it off, and I'll come over and show you what this looks like here. But I don't think I need to add any more water. I don't think I need to add any more soil. I think we're just going to leave it as is here and kind of let it dry off a little bit. Oh, there's one little tiny. I'm going to pick a piece of bark. There we go. All right, so let's show you what this baby looks like. And it's standing really good and has some nice little support. So now we have 4 different monsteras in here, and that's actually awesome, because like the one that I showed you in the beginning of the video, that's only a total of 3, and that baby's giant. So this one has an extra one. It has a 4th. I've got them separated around the edges. I like to do that because it kind of holds them in place a little bit, and then it also offers an area right smack dab in the middle where I can put a pole in it if I eventually want to. So we're going to set this one over here on the ground, and we'll move to the next one. So the next one I'm super excited about. So this one I think I do want a pole, and I have a pole over here. This one's not one that I made. This is one that came with a plant that I got off of a local plant group, and it's not my favorite, but it's adorable and it looks cute. It's fine. It'll serve its purpose. It's got some, you know, lovely little things in it, including bugs running around, so I'm going to go spray it off really quick. It's what happens when I keep all my stuff outside half the time. All right, there we go. I think it's good. I don't see any little buggies running around, but there probably are some. I honestly don't care. I'll spray everything down with neem oil after we're done and call it good. So I am going to see, yes, that should provide support. And it's going to be kind of depending on the plant itself as to whether or not I need it, whether or not I'm going to use it. But we're going to keep it there just in case. First thing I'm going to do is just put 1 handful of dirt. I'm only doing 1 handful. That is my bottom layer. I want these roots to go down, and I'm going to hold it up while I add my soil. So for this guy here, this one's going to be fun to pull apart. So let's take a look here. We're going to start first by making sure that we detangle. Oh, and I've got a couple clippings that haven't rooted yet. This one's doing pretty good, but it doesn't look like it was far enough down in there. So it's got just a little bit coming out here, but we'll definitely continue rooting this guy. So that one's not ready. This one's a single piece. That one definitely has roots. That one has roots. This one's still rooting, so we can see. Not all of them are going to root, and it's got a little bit of ick underneath, so I'm kind of happy that I'm pulling it off. We're just going to trim slightly. Right there, I don't want that ick. We'll take it a little bit more. Yeah. And then we've got cinnamon here. We'll just push it right in and tip it on in there. There we go. All right, so we've got that nice little node there, so we will continue to root this one. Take a look here, see if we've got other ones that still haven't rooted. Nope, that's got a tug. That's got a tug. And definite tug. Okay, so here we go. All of these need to come out at the same time in order to not break. There we go. Oh, look at that. What? Woo! Oh, there we go. We have some wonderful roots. Let me show you guys here. So these are what I'm talking about, where we get roots on roots. So this one here in the front, we can see one giant root, and then we can see a bunch of little roots underneath. This one over here just has a single, doesn't look like it has any other ones yet, but these other ones are doing great too. So this is going to make a wonderful, beautiful pot. There's also one more in here, and this guy has just a baby root, so we're actually, quite literally, going to take this guy and put him right back in. And I want to hold because I want that baby root going all the way down. Awesome. We'll set these guys aside here. We'll reset this up really quick so that we can set it apart. So let's see. We're going to go whoop. Oh, that's what happens. I put that in first. Let's put a little bit more. Oh, there's some moss in there too, it looks like. I didn't remember putting moss in there. Maybe it was just accidentally added in. Alright, that looks good. So let's take this guy, and because he's got a slight little like rot on there that I don't like, I'm going to put him in at a little bit of an angle, and then I'm just going to scoot the cocoa coir right up against that root and allow it to kind of sit sideways here so that I'll show you, you can see the part that has the cinnamon in there, it's not touching the cocoa coir, at least not much. So we'll add just a tiny bit more here in a second, and then this one calloused off wonderfully, so I'll do just a tiny dip, but I don't want to go inside that because I don't want to break it. There we go. Alright, so for this one here, I can angle that one down slightly too. So these ones both have some really cool looking roots in there. So we'll just go like this. And after this one, I'm setting him in. He's doing fine. Alright. Let's put that one down, and then let's grab a little bit more of this here. There we go. Yeah, I'll show you guys what it looks like here in a sec. And, oh, that one has a little bit on that side. We'll put this one right back in here. Put my finger down inside. There we go. Alright, let's take a look. So we're going to just bunch that up there. Bunch that up there. Bunch that up there. Alright, here we go. So, as you can see in here, they're not too tight in there. I just have it put the way that I want it, where the cocoa coir is going to hit the roots the way it needs to hit. So that one looks great, and we'll just set that aside, take it back in the house, and let it continue to root. And now for the fun one. So I'm going to take this. Let's see if we need it. I don't think we need it yet. I think I'm going to let this guy go crazy. I don't want to pull it. I don't like pulling things. I don't like putting them on poles. Okay, so what I want to show you is we can see that the root hits right at the bottom there where I put my one little tiny layer of soil. I don't want this in much more than what it has been. And the bottom is really nice on here too. So I'm going to stop like right here and leave this little top portion kind of out. I'm going to do that with each one of these. Just kind of lay them in here. go. I like those bunched like that. I like this one like that. Let's see here. We'll do this one like that. And this one will be the last one that's kind of a scraggler. So I think I can do 2 and 2 here. Holding this up. How will it lean? I think those two will lean really good together like that. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with just 2 on this side. Kind of get that how I'm thinking. That looks good over there. And then these 2 on this side. Oh, perfect. Let's go like that. So we'll leave that just there. Got these over here. Just kind of layering. This one I'm pulling up a little as we go. Depending on the size of your Monstera, you may need help. I've helped many people repot their Monsteras just because of how big they are, and you don't want to break a leaf when you're in there repotting things, because that's the whole point, is the leaves. They're gorgeous. Okay. Like this. Starting to come together here. Oh, I'm so excited to get to the mother plant though. I have not repotted mother plant in almost 2 years, I think. I'm mean. Alright. Almost there. This one will just tuck a little. Use myself to hold it. There we go. Starting to sit. I'm gonna put this right in between. Oop, oop, oop. Can I get my small hand in there? There we go. And again, just like the other one, I'm not going to push too hard. I'm going to let the hose do the rest of it for me. I like my Monstera. Going crazy, guys. I don't know. I make moss poles. I sell moss poles. Did at one point in time in a local nursery. But I think they're more of just kind of a pretty and decorative look. You know, they do serve a purpose though. Moss poles add added moisture. Air roots will grab onto the moss poles. When they grab onto it, it gives the air root added moisture, which in turn helps the plant grow bigger and stronger. So, I mean, there is a point to it. I just kind of like them being a little crazy. Okay, so we've got a couple here. And again, just like I did on the other one, I still have a space available in the middle where I can add a moss pole if I decide I want to. Okay. Here we go. This guy is not wanting to stay, so we are going to add a little one and just let it rest. I can tie it on later if I want to. But that's how quickly that decision was made. It just made sense. It wasn't wanting to stick. What I'll do is I have some plant tape, and I'm going to do this one to the pole, not the one that's hanging in the back here. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because, actually, I'm just going to do that instead. That's hilarious. We're just going to wrap it. There we go. All right, let's give it some water. Let's see how it looks. See if I need to put some more in. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back. This one definitely needs just a little bit more push as the water goes down. So what we can do is use the loose soil, kind of guide it where we want it, cinch it up against the plant. This gives a good opportunity to get that last little bit kind of taken care of. Also uncovering the stems. You don't want these stems all covered up. You want to give your baby a chance to grow really well and get acclimated and accustomed to its new environment with soil. All right, I am going to add just a tiny bit more on the top, just to even it out. I'm not going to water this one, that's fine. No need to. It's got enough. You can hear it dripping down off my table here. All right, here we go. So we're going to grab the bad boy. We're going to talk about clipping points. We're going to talk about node points. We're going to talk about propagation points. We're going to pull this baby apart and we're going to take a look at the root ball. We're going to see how big it is. We're going to see if we can add some of the other plants down there that are monsteras into one giant pot. So I'm going to set this one aside too. And keep in mind when you're working outside that you want to make sure that your plants are not going directly into the sun. These babies will sunburn, especially if you've never taken them outside before. So, okay, let's talk pot. That sounds funny. Let's talk pots. So I am going to be putting my big boy into this pot here, which honestly in size is not that big of a difference, so I'll show you the actual size here. Sorry, I'm cleaning off areas. We'll pull it up in just a sec. But this pot's giant. So I'm going to do a couple things. One, this is our wood piece that we're going to use. Beautiful. I love this. We're just going to set this down in here. I'm going to actually put some rocks down there to help hold it, and then it should give really good support, and my monstera should have a good time climbing up it. And then I also have some other viney ones that I'm going to put in here. I think I am going to add the other two. I think I'm going to go 1, 2, and then the big one in the back here. We'll see though. I might change my mind. But one of the things I want to talk about is this pot. I hate decorative pots with a passion. However, when your plants start getting to a certain size, no other pots really work unless you get custom ones and you start ordering them. So what I do is I use my soldering iron. Yes, I love it. So I did this before the video and put all of these lovely drainage holes in the bottom, melted them in. It smelled fantastic. Yeah, but I do this in all my pots. I make sure that there's enough drainage holes, and then the other thing that I do is I use rocks generally in the very, very bottom, and I do that to help the water not sit in the soil, but actually sit in the rocks if it's actually down there. So we're just going to take rocks and throw them on in. That's it. I have a bunch of other ones out front too. I kind of wanted to go grab some extra, but we'll see. Hopefully this helps in holding this a little bit. Probably not, but you know, dare to dream. And then we're going to throw some dirt in, hopefully try to help it too. I might go grab a couple big rocks and throw those in here. I think I'm going to. Yeah. Usually I use wood in the bottom too, but I need something to actually hold that in place so that it doesn't fall. So I'll be right back. Alright. Not just normal rocks, well, one's a sandstone, but I got a sandstone rock. I've got one, so Idaho is full of gems. We're the gem state. That's got some stuff in it. And then this one has lovely little pits. I pulled opals out of that one. So, and then they go in my garden. But we're just going to use this, quite literally, to support the wood. And I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. It's already almost standing up on its own now. Well, not its own. Oh, that one worked out actually really good. Let's move this one slightly. So with the 3, yeah, look at that. We have 3 rocks in. Okay, I'm not going to show you because if I move that, it's going to go. But I'm going to add a little bit more dirt to it. There we go. And we have some nice rocks on the bottom, so the field test on this one isn't going to work as well. But I love this. I think that's going to be great. The more soil goes into it, the better. It's going to be stronger. So now we're going to talk about pulling apart the Monstera before we even put this one in here. So I'm going to move it and watch. It'll probably fall. Let's see. Oh, it's not falling. All right. That's a really good sign. That thing did not fall. But here comes my baby. All right. So this guy here is why I need that wood. I've got another stone in there. That's another one that I found out when I was rock hunting. I love rock hunting. This guy is extremely dry. I do not want to break anything, so I'm going to soak him. And I'll just bring the hose over and soak him right on camera so y'all can see. And while I'm soaking this, let me make sure it's not hot. Oh, I'm sorry, flag. No. That wasn't good. Ah. Dry, flag, dry. Sorry, baby. Okay. Woo. All right, it's not hot. Here, we'll clean this off. There we go. Get rid of the hot water. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let me soak this, and then we're going to talk about him before we take him out, before we cut him, before we do anything. Because I want to show you some different clip points. When I say soak, I mean soak. Alright, let's put the hose right here and hope it doesn't go off on me. I like to drop hoses. Okay, so let's talk about this bad boy. So, clip areas. This is an air node. This is an air node. This down here is an air node. And this is an air node over here that I have put back into the soil and is now rooting. So when you have Monstera Deliciosas, you can cut any one of these sections that has an air node coming out of it. So to cut this one, if I were to propagate, what is that? I don't know what that is. I don't like you. You're getting off my plant. Okay. So, sorry. Don't know what that was. Didn't like it though. But if I were to cut it, I would cut right here. And then I would put a stick or something, or like we just did in the other, I would put cinnamon on the bottom and try to keep the cutting out, but keep this into the actual soil or rooting that you're doing. Now, if you're going to water prop your Monsteras after clipping, if you have an air node that is this long, you want to actually cut the air node almost all the way back to about an inch away from the base of the plant. The reason that we do that is because this is not used to being in water. This is used to being in air, in nothing. So if you just go and shove this into water, you run the risk of rotting it out, and we don't want it to rot. So if you cut it back, it's going to produce new roots off, or new growth off of where you cut it, that are 100% accustomed to the water. Now, since I do coco coir and perlite and different things like that, I would probably cut this a little bit, but I wouldn't cut it all the way back. I'd cut it probably right after this other root right here starts growing. So I'd cut it right before that, or after it, to leave that on there. And then I would just put that in. This top one here, you could cut this one and root this. This doesn't have a node yet, but it will as soon as the plant splits. You can see the very defined line here that shows. You can also see the defined line there. If I wanted to root this clipping, I could cut this, I would have 1, 2, 3 new plants off of this. I could even go crazier and go down and cut this one if I wanted to. But I like this, and I like the way it looks right now and how it's going up, and it's going to look really, really pretty on the tree branch that I'm putting in there. Now, this other one here is kind of funny because I clipped this one. So I clipped this one up here, I clipped this one up here. Had two different clippings that actually clipped off of it. And it decided to create a new growth activation point down below the leaf here and start pushing out new leaves here. So this one is actually attached. And what's really cool is this one here, I could actually cut this and remove it completely. And I could root this one and just leave this one going up, and it probably would grow another one. I think I might do that when we repot this. And then this one down here has another brand new growth activation point too, that's coming out of the bottom. I'll show you when I pull it up. But we're just going to pull it completely out, and we'll decide what we're going to do after that. So to pull it up, I do have a container here to capture the dirt. I don't like wasting dirt at all. I don't care if this dirt has been here for, I think it was like 2 years since I repotted him, maybe a year, I'm not sure, it's been a while. But anyways, I will reuse this soil. So I can either put my own fertilizer in it, or I can move it out to the garden. Oh, my Monstera shirt's all filthy. Woohoo! Figured it would be. But regardless, I'm going to use the soil. So even though I just went and watered it to high heck, I am going to look for the best avenue to pull this bad boy out. And the best avenue to pull him out, I think, is to tip him this way. And we're going to use the container. We're going to use everything, and we're going to give it a squeeze. All right. Squeezing it loosens up the roots, loosens up the soil. All right, and gets me extremely dirty. I changed my mind. We're going to let it fall on me and slowly pull it out. Oh yeah, this baby has roots everywhere. I'm going to loosen everything first. Oh yeah. It's ready for a new home, guys. Oh man. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry it took too long. Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't want to break the roots because these are heavenly. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Woo! There we go. All right, we have a root ball, guys. So we can see, move this around and see if I can pick it up without hurting it. This is a root ball. That is giant. I want to possibly move some of this plant around, and I want it to have new soil. So what I'm going to do is work on just loosening the soil. It's not all wet. Oh, that's right. I brought the hose up, guys. We're going to use my favorite way to do this. Oh, yeah. This is how I clean my plants. This container is going to be so heavy. I think that's good. I don't want all the dirt gone. It's happy. I just want a little bit. Alright, I'm not gonna split it. This guy is way too freaking happy as is. Alright. This is awesome. So now we're gonna move this. I'm just gonna pour this on my strawberries behind me. They will love me for it. And now we're bringing this bad boy up. So based on the root ball and what I have there, I think what I can do is I want all of this to be able to go back into this. So I think I'm going to need to get rid of a little bit more soil in the front to flatten it out and to get the roots going down in a different direction. Oh, this baby will like this. It's just soaking in some water right now. Alright, there we go. Breaking a little bit apart. I'm so gentle. I want to break as little roots as possible. I don't want to break the wonderfulness that this baby has done for itself. Alright, I think I can put this right there. Let's see. Let it drain for a minute. This thing's gonna hit me in the head when I put it in, watch. I might have to reset it. Yep, I'm gonna have to reset it back, so we'll just reposition it. Totally fine. Stay, baby. I know, you have no support right now. Here. There. Nah. Okay. So let's get this back here. There we go. There. Yes? No? No. I need this one. Like that. And I need this one. That. Okay. Think I have it. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, yeah. We're just going to have to bring it up slightly. Totally fine. There we go. Okay, cool. Now, let's dump this. All right. That actually looks wonderful. We're just going to bring it up about right there. There we enough support. Now we need to add dirt. And I'm going to rotate slightly. There we go. Oh, you know what? Can I do it? I think I can. Okay, so my original goal was to add an extra plant to this one of those monsteras down there, and I think I can do that. I think I have enough room over here. So I want to show you guys this. Yeah, we are gonna do it. This one is bowing out on the sides, so you can see on the side of the pot that it's bowing out. I am willing, yep, there's roots coming out of the bottom here too, all over, and I can fit this one in here, and I want a little bit of a variety and a little bit of a different look to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin it like this, and we're going to put this one in right here. So let's take this out. I'm just going to squeeze it like I did the others. And then this one I'm going to do right over the actual soil, because this hasn't been in here for that long. It's only been about a year. I might not be able to get it out. Oh my goodness, guys. There it is. Ha-ha! That is a beautiful pot of roots. Oh yeah, that baby's gorgeous, and I think it'll fit in. So let's just see. Yep, it will. I just need to move some dirt. I'm manhandling this, guys. Oh yeah, that is beautiful. So the top doesn't need to go down any further. It has plenty of roots. We just need to fill it up with soil, and then this will be done. That other pot that I have, I'm just going to grab another pot and I'll repot that one up, because it's root bound just like this was. The mixed pots grow extremely well together. I've found that they root well together, they grow together, they acclimate together, they are just so happy. And at the end of the day, if you are able to have a beautiful mix with multiple plants in one pot, why the heck not? Oh, I just absolutely adore the mixed pots. I think they are just drop dead gorgeous beautiful. They're unique, and it gets past the husband telling me no more plants, or just get one, because I'm like, yeah, I can just have a mixed pot with a whole bunch of different things in it. Yay. These will spread. So by having it only over in that one corner in that one area, totally fine. They're going to spread. They're going to go in this pot. They're going to crawl around. They're going to root. And then eventually they're going to climb out and start vining and looking absolutely beautiful. I'll also help wrap it up this tree to kind of help it out. But right now we are just about ready to wrap up the video. I'll repot the other one and just put in some pictures for you guys. I don't want this to be extremely long. But watering habits again, so we'll talk about soil, water, and prop really quick one last time. So soil, 1/3 perlite, 1/3 orchid bark, 1/3 potting soil. Done. Watering. Water when dry. If you want to stick your finger in there, stick it in. I would say 1.5 to 2 inches. If it's dry, then water it. But in a situation like this with a pot that has roots all the way down towards the bottom, I am still going to do the field test on this, even though that field test is going to be a little bit more difficult, because this is extremely heavy. It has rocks, it's got a tree branch, it's got, you know, several Monstera clippings, but man, this baby is going to be sexy. So I'm going to rinse her off really quick, and then I will bring the phone up so that you guys can see what this looks like. So give me just a second. I'm going to have to go rinse myself off too. My goodness. Okay. I am going to water it once through. This one will probably be a bottom watering. Half bottom watering, half top. I'll probably run water completely through the top once a month. And then I'll bottom water probably every couple weeks or so. Or top water. Once a month top water, bottom water every other week. There we go. Watch this tree come back to life. That'd be funny. I don't think it's going to. Making sure everything's covered. Yep, everything looks great. Okay. So we'll give some more to my flowers back here. Good soil. Oh, and we got to put my rock back in. Alright, so let's look at this baby here. We'll put the rock right there and let the plants grow around it. I like it. Alright, let's come see. Oh my goodness, from top over down. Here we go. Let's go in and look so we can see all the soil in there. All the different plants. Got our tree. All right, guys. Well, oh my goodness. I hope you enjoyed this today. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you guys learned to not be scared of Monsteras. I'll do another video down the road of some more rare Monsteras just to show you guys not to be scared of them. I have a Tycon and a Monstera Aloe, but none of them need to be tripped, climbed, or done anything with right now, so there's really no point in making a video yet until they need to be taken care of. But what I can tell you is the Monstera Aldo and the Monstera Thai Constellation all take the same exact care. They take the same exact love, the same exact soil, The only difference is, well, if you get an all white leaf on a Monstera owl, you kind of got to cut it off because it's not going to do any good for you. But other than that, I mean, there really isn't that much of a difference. Oh, I need to clean, clean, clean. So, anyways, I hope you guys had fun. I hope you enjoyed me destroying my Monstera shirt that I got. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. I hope everybody has a happy 4th of July, wonderful Independence Day with your family, friends. Thank you again. As always, I am Crystal with One Plant Short of Crazy.